Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vince and this is my 2020 Toyota Supra. So you're watching today's video because you are wondering the modding routes that you can take related to this platform. So that's probably my most commonly asked questions on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever the social media I'm on. That is a question I easily get the most. So this video is a long time coming for sure. So I've basically gone through almost every single possible route that you can take with this car. So when I first got it, I actually got mine used. If you guys are just tuning into my channel, I got mine secondhand November 2020. So as of the recording of this video, I'm actually approaching my 3-year mark of my ownership of this car. So I'm going to do a recap of my ownership and just general stuff to look out for. So be on the lookout for that. I'll probably release that 2 or 3 videos after this one. So subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you get a notification once I release that video. But like what I was saying, I basically done it all. When I first got this car, I got it at 6,300 miles. Seems like a long time ago at this point, and it only had a downpipe, an exhaust. It was tuned on BM3 on a 91 octane tune from Pro Tuning Freaks. It's definitely far from that now. So where it's at now, it's got a top mount, built transmission, all of the fueling, so on and so forth, and it's a ride to drive, to put it mildly. This is my daily driver. This is approaching 60,000 miles. That's right, 60,000. Right now, as I record this, this has 59,000 some odd miles. I plan on taking it back up to my hometown in the Tulsa area. So one way is to about 250 miles. So I'm gonna get pretty close to 60,000, or I might reach 60,000 by the time I do my 3-year recap video. So I'm super excited about that. What you guys will watch in this video is basically me going over my experience with each of the stages that you can go on this platform. I'll go over just my experience about what power level it is. I'm not going to go over the costs on this video because I actually did a video 2 years ago, I think, at this point, where I cover the costs. For the most part, the costs are about the same. And on that video, I don't cover installation costs because that's going to vary wildly, of course, based on the shop that you go to and whatever their labor rates are. So jump around. The chapters are down below in the description box and of course on the little tracker for where the video is, so you can jump around and see my experience for the stage I was at that point. So let's go ahead and jump into it and talk about my experience with each route. So let's do that. All right, so we got the hood popped. You guys can take a look at how my engine bay sits now with the B-roll that you're seeing on the screen. So let's go over the first stage of your modding process. I've had experience with different fueling, so just keep that in mind for my experience related to this, because where I'm at, I basically have been in Oklahoma and Texas, and E85 was plentiful where I've been, so that's never been a problem. I've never had methanol on this car, but I know a lot of you guys who are watching this most likely don't have access to ethanol. So just keep that in mind. You can definitely use methanol for power, but typically on this platform, not a lot of people go that route. Like I said in the introduction, I first got this car when it had a 91 tune and it was tuned on BM3 with just a catalyst downpipe. So around that power level, I know everyone's about numbers. You're gonna be around like just 91 or 93. You're at like mid 400s. Still gonna make for a fun street car. For a mid 400s car, if you guys haven't driven a car at that power level, it's pretty good for the streets. You'll be having enough fun. You're not gonna have any trouble on the on-ramps trying to pass somebody, or just, you know, having a little bit of fun in Mexico for sure. And at that, I felt like that if I just added ethanol to the mix, I was going to be pretty happy. So the natural transition, of course, that I did was I switched over to EcuTek because my tuner, Mikey Body, who I feel like I give a shout out to almost every single video, he was getting the ball rolling on this platform. And if you guys know who he is, he's pretty well known in the Subaru community, and that's where he got started. And then he moved over to this platform and was making a lot of noise. So I hit him up, switched over to EcuTek, which a lot of people use, but now, of course, BM3 is gaining some traction. Body just started tuning on that platform. Sam from Dubai, he's been tuning on BM3, and then there's countless other tuners on EcuTek. But I went over to the E50 route. So typically, if you guys are not aware, the Downpipe and E50 tune, it's a pretty potent combination. I tell people time and time again that this platform, it was like almost meant to be fueled on ethanol. It just responds so well with ethanol, with power, of course, at the expense of miles per gallon, but at the expense of miles per gallon, you gain miles per gallon. Around that power level, you're making at around 500 wheel, low 500s, and 600 wheel torque, which is a ton. So if you guys have never experienced what a high torque car feels like, and with a stock turbo, the stock turbo on this car is super, super responsive. It's that kick that you get whenever you hit the accelerator pedal. It's that immediate kick. That is the torque. And even at 91, the rear tires, the stock Pilot Super Sports, are already brakes loose. So of course you add more power to more power to that, and it gets a little bit rowdy. So I would say, and I've said this in a video that I recorded some time ago with my friend Andrew and Jacob, where we discuss our experiences with the different modding routes. Downpipe E50 tune, I would say personally, with how my car sits right now with a top mount 6870, it's like the perfect street car, because with that kind of power and a super responsive, super fast transmission. So I have a ZF8. The manuals didn't come out until the 2023 model year. It's really, really fast. I mean, you'll be beating a lot of bolt-on E85 V8s, maybe even stock tuned supercharged ones. I mean, you're keeping up with like 95% of the cars on the road, or you're just going to straight up whoop them. That power level is also reliable. If you guys were wondering about just my experience with the reliability of this, check out my ownership recap videos. I'm not going to go over it in this video, but the Downpipe E50 tune is an awesome, awesome street version of this car. So after that, I went to the port injection, flex fuel, and pure 800 route. So let's go ahead and switch up the angle a little bit, and so you can see this engine, and let's discuss my experience with that. So let's go ahead and jump to that right now. So now, after the Downpipe E50 tune, I got my chance to enjoy that. I don't remember how long I've had it on that, but I wanted the ability to run flex fuel because I just like having the convenience, and honestly, just mixing the fuels got a little bit old. So I knew that if I was going to really enjoy this car at that point, kind of like my mindset was, if I pop the hood, I just wanted to tell people that I had a stock Supra, just a Downpipe E50 tune. But of course, my car would make more power than that. So I added flex fuel to the equation. I added port injection, and I added 1000cc injectors from Deechworks, which actually I'm still running to this day. They have been fantastic, and I just wanted to support a local Oklahoma business since I did run Deechworks products on my Subarus. And I added a pure 800. So still ran the same catalyst downpipe that I did. It was a CTS catalyst downpipe. And if you guys are not aware, a pure 800 is a stock location turbo. I still had a stock intake. So if you guys look at my old videos, you will see that my engine bay was pretty understated. So whenever I went to like car shows or Cars and Coffee, I never really popped my hood because there really wasn't much to see. But at that point, you're making around like high 600s, low 700s, or right at 700. And that makes for a very, very fast street car. So at that point, you can still run the stock transmission. I mean, even whenever you run the top mount, you can still run the stock transmission as what Sam is doing on his car. So he is running a top mount 6870. So check out that video. I'll link it down in the description below if you guys are wondering the most budget 800 plus horsepower Mark V Supra build is like. But at that point, that is when I really piled the miles on my car. So that was what was on my car for, I think, like year and a half, close to 2 years. And it was a lot of fun. So at that power level, what you're going to be keeping up with are some pretty modified supercharged V8s, all of the NA V8s, unless they're like fully gutted. You know, you have like a Cobra Jet, Mustang or something like that, they will not be able to keep up with you at that power level. Like you have to have some serious muscle to be able to keep up with a Mark V Supra with this super fast transmission. I mean, it's really fast. I think I've surprised I don't know how many random people for the few that have actually tried to run me whenever I had that set up. But it was a lot of fun. I would definitely would recommend it because you're basically teetering at the edge of the stock transmission capabilities. So if you guys didn't know, the stock transmission is basically just good for like 600 wheel torque. And at that point, you start experiencing slipping on your transmission. So I do have a clip of that. I'll insert it right here so you can hear what that sounds like. So yeah, it's like, it's pretty noticeable. And if you keep running it where the transmission is slipping and you keep beating on it, it is going to eventually just completely fry your clutch packs, and then you're gonna have to pull the transmission and either get it rebuilt with the stock internals or just fully upgrade it. So what I did at that point was I just enjoyed the flex fuel port injection pure 800 setup with the stock transmission for I think like 10,000 miles or so. So pretty decent. I didn't really like beat on it like crazy. I would just kind of just bang gears until I reach fifth, the limit of fifth. And then once I hear it slip, I just kind of ease off the gas and shift into sixth. And I mean, my transmission held up fine, but I didn't want to risk getting stranded on the roads. So what I had done was I had Brian Scholl at Applied Torque Solutions build my transmission, and I'm still running the transmission to date. I think I am the one that has the most miles on his transmission build. So if you guys were wondering how that's like, it definitely lasts. But I went ahead and built the transmission, and that's when I really got to enjoy the car. I told Body to turn up the boost, and I was basically maxing out that setup. Because if you guys didn't know, the stock location aftermarket turbo, so that includes pure, CTS, DAW. I know there's going to be a couple of others that I can't remember off the top of my head as I'm recording this, but they're going to be limited by the heat that they generate. So of course you can only run so much boost, which will of course generate so much heat, and you don't want to eventually fry the internals of this car. So it's happened to a few people, unfortunately, and that was just a learning experience. But I decided to just limit it. I can't remember the boost. I think it was like 33 to 35 pounds of boost, which is a lot. And these stock motors are pretty stout. So my car still has a stock motor, and it's been fantastic. So I ran that, and then I moved down here to Dallas, and I met Matt and David, and then I saw Brian's car and a bunch of other people, and they had top mounts. And I was like, damn, I got the severe case of FOMO. And so the avalanche, the slippery slope happened, and here I am. So at that point, I went ahead and decided to pull the trigger on a top mount 6870, and then I went ahead and grabbed an aftermarket intake manifold. So aftermarket intake manifold, doing R&D on that, and then top mount 6870. So I basically got rid of my entire setup. You guys can watch my videos when I first installed my top mount. I have a couple of videos discussing how that experience was like. So I go in great detail about that if you guys are wondering. But basically where I'm sitting out right now is about 850 to 900 wheel on my map 4. So I have 4 maps. That is about the limit of the stock block. So kind of where I'm at right now is I have to save money, of course, and build the motor. So I'm going to be doing that with Brian. Going to do R&D with his engine builds. So I'll of course be documenting that on my channel. At that power level with this car, with what I was able to do with a pure 800 and now with an aftermarket intake manifold to keep the intake air temperatures down, and then bigger turbo, more boost, like it's definitely like too much for the street. And this is why I kept mentioning on the Downpipe E50 section of this video that that's like the sweet spot, because that's when you can really just maximize your traction, when you can just slap on some nice street radials or some Mickey Thompsons, and then you're not going to have to really calculate out like, okay, I have to, you know, do a burnout or warm up my tires. I have to be like at 22 PSI on my tires, you know, do all of that stuff. But at this power level, that's when you really have to put that into consideration. So especially like this weather, this is my daily. So right now it's like 40, high 40 degrees, low 50 degrees in Dallas right now. And it is wet outside. And there's no way I can do a pull on this car. Not even on my map 1. It's just gonna break loose and I'm just gonna have a bad time. Anybody with a car at this power level, unless you're like have an all-wheel drive just monster that can just really get traction in this type of weather, you're not gonna be using it on its max power. I mean, majority of the time, honestly, I don't even drive this car on its max power setting. I mainly drive it on the map 2, which is like the 700-ish horsepower map, which is basically where I was at with my pure 800 map or pure 800 setup. I only had just had one map for that, so it was at that high 600, 700 wheel horsepower map, and that was a lot of fun. Still a lot of fun. Still pretty responsive. This is what I would definitely recommend if you guys are wanting to like just max out your stock block, because it will live at this power level. Typically, if you guys were curious, this motor kind of just maxes out at like 36 pounds. Since I am pushing it at 40 pounds, it'll live, but it's just a matter of time. So just keep that in mind if you guys were curious about going balls to the wall like I did. But honestly, to wrap up this video, because I know it's pretty long, I wouldn't regret the way that I modded this car, because I have a lot of experience now with it, approaching 60,000 miles. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's great to be able to share my experiences with, you know, you guys. So you can decide what route you would want to take based on just what I've seen. If you guys have any questions, definitely hit me up. Yeah, I mean, the car's been great. I'm going to keep piling on the miles. I think as far as I'm aware, I have the highest mileage top mounts Mark V Supra out there, period. I'll keep documenting my ownership experience every 6 months with just what's gone wrong, what have I done, blah, blah, blah. So definitely like and subscribe if you guys like this content. Hopefully I did help you guys in your decision making on what route you want to take for this platform. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram. It's at vc.ou, or leave a comment down below. I read all my comments and respond to them. So if you guys were curious, I'm always down to help. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.